Good morning. Thank you everyone for being here this morning. I'm Cindy Mansell. I'm the City Recorder for Salt Lake City. And the theme this year for the 2015 municipal elections is Keep Calm and Vote by Mail. Cities that have made the switch to vote by mail, both across the nation and here in Utah, have experienced significant increases in voter turnout. And Salt Lake City hopes to realize those same increases and that our voters will embrace the vote by mail process. Today, I'm excited to announce that ballots will be mailed to all active registered voters in Salt Lake City. Vote by mail is convenient, cost-free, and confidential. Voters now have weeks to consider the issues and the candidates, and then vote from a postage-paid ballot from the privacy and comfort of their own home. As part of an education process and voter outreach, Salt Lake City has launched a media campaign effort consisting of a variety of efforts such as newspaper ads, radio ads, social media, online ads, flyers, posters, banners, and a mailed postcard to every household of record in Salt Lake City. As a result of that campaign outreach, my office has received a lot of questions and concerns from voters. Definitely there are people who are reluctant to make the change. I spoke with a gentleman the other evening who was upset that he couldn't vote at his typical convenient polling location in his neighborhood. We ended up discussing the evolution of the voting process. It started when you would go to a polling location at your neighbor's house, be handed a paper ballot, mark an X by your selection, and judges would hand tally those votes. We moved on to the punch card system, the electronic voting machines, and we've really come full circle back to the vote by mail process where voters are voting on paper, but from the convenience of their own home. Definitely, we have further outreach and education to do, but I think the gentleman was happy after we talked. If there are questions or concerns, I encourage people to contact the Office of the City Recorder or visit our website at slc.gov/elections. And I want to reiterate that there will not be neighborhood polling locations this year, but if a voter wishes to vote in person, has misplaced or did not receive their vote by mail ballot, they are welcome to visit one of the 4 vote centers spread across the 4 quadrants of the city. Salt Lake City contracts with Salt Lake County for administration of its election process, and they are truly our election experts. And I'm going to turn the time over to Roseanne Mitchell. She's the Director of Elections for Salt Lake County, after which we're happy to take questions, conduct interviews, answer questions. Ballots go out today, and remember to keep calm and vote by mail in Salt Lake City.
Hi, I'm Roseanne Mitchell, and I am the Election Director for Salt Lake County, and we too are really excited for vote by mail this year. 2 years ago, we had 2 cities in the county, Cottonwood Heights and West Jordan, that both contracted with us and contracted to do their election entirely by mail. Both cities saw a dramatic increase in voter turnout, and the voters were highly satisfied with the vote by mail process. We take great pride at Salt Lake County in our processes and procedures, and I just wanted to take a minute to go through a little bit of that with you. So like Cindy said, this afternoon, we're expecting a truck that has 16 pallets of ballots on it to arrive at the Salt Lake City Post Office. Those ballots will be put through the mail stream and should be hitting voters' mailboxes in the next couple of days. When a voter gets a packet, it looks like this. This is what the packet looks like that they'll be getting. It has some contact information on the back side of it to contact our office. So I would highly recommend that if by next Monday a voter thinks they should have gotten a ballot and they haven't received a ballot packet that looks like this in their mailbox, that they should contact the Salt Lake County Election Division, and we'll be able to check their address and verify that a ballot went out to them. Once a ballot comes back to us, we get a lot of questions about what do we do, how do we know that somebody else didn't take the ballot and vote it, and I just want to assure people that we take every precaution necessary, that when you go to the polls and you show ID to vote on election day, we do a very similar process when you vote by mail. And many of you will know that if you have voted by mail, that you have the envelope that has an affidavit on it. And when you sign that affidavit, and seal your envelope. It protects your signature, and the ballot comes back to us in an envelope like this, the business reply envelope, and it's sealed. We go ahead and we sort those by ballot and by city, by ballot style and by city, and then we do a preliminary slice of the top of the envelope, which will reveal the signature. We compare every signature of a voter to the signature we have on file at the county. If we have a question about the signature, then we notify the voter in enough time to give them an opportunity to resolve the issue with our office. They can respond via email, or we'll send a letter, and they'll have a postage paid envelope to respond to that as well. Also, one of the most important things I can say to voters is just remember to sign that affidavit. I can't count your ballot if I don't have a signature on there. I will send it back and give you an opportunity to sign that and get it back into our office. But just make sure that that is signed. One new thing that we have in our office this year that we've implemented that's new is when the voter puts their ballot inside this envelope to return it, before they do that, they put it inside one of these secrecy sleeves. And the secrecy sleeve is just another level of protection to keep the vote concealed until we're ready to open it and it's ready to be tabulated. And then it's separated from the blue outside envelope, and we pull it out of the secrecy envelope later. So the postage paid envelope is a nice convenient way for voters to be able to return the ballot back to our office. Some voters sometimes they would rather drop their ballot off in person. They can do that here at the city recorder's office. There's also 2 drop boxes conveniently located in Salt Lake City. One of them is at the Salt Lake County Government Center, and one at the Northwest Senior Center, which just got put in a couple weeks ago. Those are curbside drop boxes that are available 24/7 for people that want to drop their ballot off at any time. So you truly can vote in your pajamas at 2 in the morning and then go drop it off at the ballot box at 4 in the morning if that suits your work schedule a little bit better. We're excited again this year to be able to do this vote by mail. It is a trend that's growing more and more. We see a lot of entire states moving to vote by mail, and it's highly successful. I would be glad to take any questions that you might have. Thank you.
I've got a question.
Okay.
How does this change your workflow at the office at your expense at your end? Does it actually add to it?
So he's asking about how it changes our workflow. And I have to say that, I always say that election day is one of those days that I never know what's going to happen on election morning. It's like the curtain goes up on the big production and it's all out of my hands. But I feel like we have a really good handle on vote by mail. It gives us an opportunity to ebb and flow. If we need to stay a couple hours late one night to process ballots, we could do that in order to get all of the signatures verified. But it really makes it more manageable for us. We can better allocate our time and our resources instead of having multiple vote centers or polling places open on election day and not very many voters there. So we really like it. We feel that it's highly successful and it better allocates the workload.
Could you restate what the return deadlines are for the mail-in ballots?
Oh, the return deadlines for ballots. That's a good one. So like we said, voters will be getting their ballots this week. You could drop it off as soon as this week. If you're dropping it in the mail, it needs to be postmarked by Monday the 10th, the day before the election. And that is absolutely critical that it be postmarked by the 10th. If you wake up on Tuesday morning on election day and you still have your ballot in your hand, you can still vote. You can take it to, like I said, one of the curbside drop boxes. You can bring it to the city recorder's office, to the county government center, or you can take it to any one of the 4 vote centers that Cindy talked about located throughout the city.
Did you say how much is it going to be more or less costly for you?
The cost of an election to do it by mail is less. It is less.
By how much?
Well, it depends on the size of the city, and I don't have the exact numbers, but actually I happen to have my fiscal manager here, and she sometimes has those numbers in the back of her head, but I'll put her on the spot in a little bit, and we can maybe ask her offline if she can give us some better estimates. Yes?
What was the impetus for Salt Lake City to
Cindy, I'm going to let you take that.
So the question was, what was the impetus for
Do this year and finally pull the trigger on it.
for Salt Lake City to go ahead and do it? Like Roseanne said, 2 years ago, 2 cities did it with a really high rate of success. In Salt Lake City, we're always looking for opportunities to engage our voters and increase our voter participation. It just seemed like the right time.
So the is it cost savings or rather significant?
I believe it was civic engagement more than cost savings. They're both pluses.
What is the voter turnout typically compared to, say, a general election with vote by mail?
Do you want me to take that
Yeah.
one? So I'll give you a couple of examples. Well, first of all, for Salt Lake City, we're anticipating about a 40% turnout for the primary election in Salt Lake. I'm not quite sure if we could make it any more convenient for a voter than giving them the ballot to vote at home at their convenience, but there are still people that choose not to cast that ballot for one reason or another. So we think a 40% turnout is a significant increase. In Cottonwood Heights in 2013, they had, in a comparable election to that, they'd had about a 15 to a 17% turnout, and they saw a 40% turnout in their election when they went vote by mail. West Jordan had a 12% turnout in a comparable election and had a 34% turnout in 2013 when they went vote by mail. So we feel that we'll see a significant increase in Salt Lake City and other jurisdictions that are going vote by mail this year.
But in terms of general election, does it go up as well? I mean, do you see an increase?
Oh yeah, we'll see an increase in November as well. So I,
Compared to a statewide race, or I mean, when you have, these are all municipal races that
Mhm.
we're seeing this year. There's no state legislature, there's none of that. Have you seen any kind of comparative?
So in Salt Lake County, we haven't done a county-wide general election or a statewide election yet by mail. Davis County did do a county-wide their entire election was by mail last year in 2014, and they did see a significant increase in voter turnout there as well. I don't have the exact numbers, but they did do a county-wide election by mail.
Signs that it works.
Oh yes, we absolutely are.
There are 2 cities, I think, now in the county that are not doing vote by mail. Do you work with them? Is there a hesitation? And tell me is there still concern, or is it just more logistics and things like that?
So Salt Lake County did provide an option this year that the municipalities could contract with us, and we would do their election in one of 2 ways. We would either do it vote by mail, or we would do what we called consolidated polling places, which the voters that are already on our permanent vote by mail program would get their ballot by mail, but the rest of the voters would be assigned to a polling place to go and vote on election day. It wouldn't be the small neighborhood voting locations like they've seen in the past. It would be more of a consolidated approach. But the 2 cities that chose not to go with the vote by mail approach were West Valley and Taylorsville. West Valley does have a primary election in one council district. Taylorsville does not have a primary election.
So that's this year they've chosen not to?
Right, they will do, it's got a little bit more of a traditional election look to it.
But regardless, even their elections,
We are-
changing to that consolidated.
Right, we are consolidating them to make them more cost effective. And that was their decision. We did offer up the 2 solutions for voting this year, and those were the only 2 cities that opted to take that approach.
So the expectation is 40% voter turnout for the primary.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about for the general?
For the general, we'll probably see it go up to 60%. A lot of it just depends on the races and the candidates and how much enthusiasm is out there, but it could vary. But in Salt Lake City, we expect to see between 40 and 60% by the general. And that's not the same across the county. In other jurisdictions, we're predicting a lower turnout because they don't have a mayoral race on their ballot this year.
And what's our typical general election turnout in Salt Lake City? 20%.
About 20%. And one other thing I want to mention too is that voters that need to vote before Election Day that may not have gotten their ballot in the mail, or they just recently changed their address or something and they still want to vote in person. We do have voting going on beginning today in the county clerk's office on 21st South, and anybody can come and vote there.